Hey, what's going on, guys? Just wanted to do a weekly forecast on what I'm seeing this week in terms of setups. I have quite a bit this week. There seems to be quite a lot of setups playing out. So I think I have about 12 to go over today. So I'll try to make each one of them relatively brief. But I'll go ahead and jump in. First one is Great British Pound versus Swiss franc. So I'm on the 6 hour time frame right here. I zoomed out so you guys can see this key level that we had reached, this double top level. So I'll zoom in here to where we're at currently, and I'll show you what I'm seeing. So we had this uptrend that was forming, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. And we had broken market structure right here. We had broken this market structure of this previous higher low, and we had impulsed out of this uptrend. You can see within this trend line, we had impulsed out of it. We hit this double top level. We can see this kind of bullish exhaustion, kind of just correctively moving sideways, moving up a little bit, but moving very slow, no impulses, no strong moves. Every move that was made by the bulls was just quickly retraced, and we were just kind of moving sideways. And so we had a break of this. This showed bullish exhaustion right here. And so we had a break of this uptrend line. And now what I'm forecasting is just simply a lower time frame correction. So that might play out on the 4 hour, the 1 hour, but we don't want to enter on impulses unless we get a breakout entry. So I'm forecasting something like this. Obviously, we're kind of pulling back strong here, but I think we're going to have a little bit more time before we see something more clear. But I'd like to see some sort of sideways corrective structure form. So after this impulse, this is kind of what we have right now. I'm waiting for something like this, something to have some sideways movement, some sort of bearish correction to form right here in order to look for short positions. So I think this one could be good. Might take a couple days to play out, maybe towards midweek, but definitely a good setup as we have higher time frame confluence. Lower time frames on the 4 hour to look solid. We had this break of uptrend, just waiting for a corrective structure to form. So that's GBP, Swiss franc. I'll go to the next one. We have Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. So this one, higher time frames are are bullish. So I'll show you on the daily. We had broken out of this really long downtrend that was, since I think July, yeah, or maybe even June. Just kind of this long structure down. And so we had a breakout here. So higher time frames are bullish. I'm taking that into account. So if I did take this trade, it'd be a lower risk trade. So I'll go here to the 1 hour. We had this real choppy kind of uptrend channel right here. Just kind of moving sideways, moving slow, real choppy. And then we can see we kind of flatlined here. Instead of continuing to move up and move higher, we just kind of flatlined. So it really showed bullish exhaustion here as well. We're moving up, and then just kind of sideways action. And then we had a real strong break right here. And then now we're moving in this corrective structure before potentially moving down further. And so right now, what I'm targeting is a short position here at the top of this structure. So this is the current structure I'm watching, as this is our corrective structure. So I would look for a short position up here if we do get a rejection. I'm on the 1 hour time frame. The reason I wouldn't want a breakout entry right here, which typically we look for, is I don't like the risk to reward. If we were targeting this 90% level here where the beginning of this corrective structure had formed, this is what we would be targeting. Maybe even a little bit closer, just because no reason trying to hit the bottom of this wick here. So we'd probably have our TP right here. Depending on what kind of trader you are, you might have your stop loss above the previous high of the structure, and that would give you not even a 1 RR. If you want it to be even a little tighter and play a little riskier, you're not even at a 2R. So it's possible that this could still be a valid entry, but for me, the better probability entry for me would be up here within, if we get some sort of rejection up here, something like this, this would give us a great RR, almost 4.5 R. So this is what I would be looking for going forward. And we could just break out below and just sink, and we hit this TP, and then this setup would be invalid, and we'll go to the next setup. So these setups aren't for sure like, hey, I'm waiting for up here. I know we're gonna go up here. It's not what I'm saying. This is just a forecast that would give me the best entry. And typically these structures like to have multiple touches at the top of these structures. So that is what I'm forecasting. It's possible you could get an entry right here and you take a small trade down to the bottom of this area. But just for me, I'm looking for some sort of rejection to come up here. But this is Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Like I said, I'm on the 1 hour time frame. We had a break of this uptrend channel. Now we're starting to move down. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And now we're just forming this bearish corrective structure. So I am looking for, like I said, a rejection up here to possibly look at short positions. So go to the next one. We have Swiss franc, Japanese yen. I'll go out to the 6 hours so you guys can see this. So we had originally moved out of this this consolidation right here. We're moving within this channel. Like I said, always zoom out, always look at the higher time frame so you can see kind of what price action is doing and what are the outer structures that price is moving within. So we broke out of this consolidation level here. We had kind of ugly price action that had formed right here. This was pretty ugly. Probably stopped a lot of shorts out. Um, but nonetheless, we had this strong impulse move down, and now we're just moving sideways. We're just forming this bearish corrective structure right here. And that's typical, of what you would look like in price action. You have a strong impulse, move sideways before the next impulse move down. That's just typically what we look for within price action, looking at these patterns. So what I'm looking for, I'll go down to the 3 hours so you guys can see it. I'd be looking for a 1 hour break of structure, break and close, but I'm just on a 3 hours so you guys can see it more clearly. But this is the structure we're in. I'd be looking for a break right here. So I'd probably be targeting something like this. If I can get a breakout over here, maybe stop loss somewhere over here, depending on if we do form any lower time frame corrective structures. That would probably depend on my stop loss. And then I'd be targeting the outer structure of this channel, which would be at about a 2RR. So like I said, the reason I'm targeting this level is this is the outer structure. That's why, when you're looking at forming your TP and stop losses, you want to look at structural levels. And that's why this level is important. If you hadn't zoomed out and formed these structural channels, you would maybe be targeting somewhere way down here. And not saying price can't do that, but for me, the best option would be just staying here and targeting this outer structure and then waiting to see what happens. So risk reward of 2.18 roughly. Like I said, it could be subject to change, but that's what I'd be looking for here on Swiss franc Japanese yen. Like I said, pretty clear bullish or bearish impulse, corrective structure, forecasting the next bull or bearish, move to the downside. So that's that one. Definitely looking like a good setup. Head to the next one. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. So on the higher time frames, we have been moving bullish. So like I said, when you see the higher time frames are, in this case bullish, taking short positions, you want to be careful with your risk, as this would be a lower probability trade, because obviously I'll go to the daily so you guys can see where we're at. We've been really just trending up, consistently forming higher lows on the higher time frames. But like I said, if you are looking for short positions going against the trend, you want to be cautious of your risk. So this would probably be a lower risk trade. I'll look at the weekly so we can see this bearish weekly candle that formed here. Like I said, always zoom out, always go backwards and see kind of where price is at. So definitely very bearish weekly candle here. Daily bearish engulfing right here. And then I'll go down to the 4 hour so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So after we rejected this outer structure here, this isn't very pretty, but just for the sake of this demonstration, I'll just kind of go over this. But we had this, textbook head and shoulders right here. We had an impulsive breakout, and all we're looking for now, because we didn't catch the breakout, is we're just waiting for some sort of correction to form. And you guys will see a pattern with this as I'm going through these analysis. It's all looking at impulses and corrections, and then structural levels, structural patterns. So like I'm saying right here, we have this impulse, we have this move right here, impulse, and we're just moving within these impulses and corrections. Corrective move right here, impulse, and then we're looking for something similar to the downside. So that is what I'm looking for here. If price does just continue to fall to the downside, like I said, we probably wouldn't get an entry. Rather be safe than sorry. So after we see these large impulse moves down, look at all these bearish candles on the 3 hour time frame. We typically see some sort of slowdown, some sort of chop, some sort of corrective structure form. So that is what I'm looking for. TP level would be at this previous structural level right here, as well as it would be the outer structure of our higher time frame uptrend. So I'd probably even have to move this over a little bit. Probably move this over to make sure I'm hitting this wick, make sure this is a valid trend line. So it'd be multiple levels of confluence that say this would be a good TP level. But pretty textbook setup, rejection off top of the structure, head and shoulders, impulse. Now we're just waiting for a correction to form on odd JPY. So that's that one. I'll head to the next. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. I'll head to the 6 hour so you guys can see this. Two different forecasts I'm setting up here, what I'm looking for. So we're just kind of moving within this sideways channel. We have rejected on top of this outer structure here of this larger structure. So what I'd be looking for here, I'll go down to the 3 hour. There's two things I'm looking for. So we obviously had a break of this this lower time frame uptrend. We had a break here, and then we had, like I said, break of this uptrend right here. We had a break of this structure, and we had an impulse move down. So I'm forecasting two things. One, I could see this potentially turning into some sort of head and shoulders pattern. So that's what this first forecast is. This would be obviously the left shoulder, the head, and possibly looking at a right shoulder. So that's something I'm watching to see if, if we get started seeing some bullish movement pretty fast up to the upside, I'd be looking at a head and shoulders type play here. But if this setup is not valid, the second thing I'd be looking for, I'll go down to the 1 hour, is same thing as the other ones. After we get an impulse, you're just looking for some sort of corrective sideways movement. And it might not be this large. They're not always just going to, go sideways, 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 and go down. They could just, move around a little bit right here and then go to the downside. So this is just an example of something I'm looking for. But it's like I said, these are going to be pretty consistent. After impulsive moves, we want to look for corrective structures to form so that we can get clean entries. Obviously, we take breakout entries as well, but if you don't get a breakout entry, you don't want to just FOMO enter on, these big, large bearish candles. You want to wait for some sort of corrective structure. So this is something that I'm definitely looking at. But like I said, I could see a possibility where we go up here and we form some sort of head and shoulders. So this is what I'm seeing right here. Like I said, be patient. A lot of these setups might take till Tuesday, Wednesday to play out. But like I said, just going over some of the things that I'm seeing and what I'd be looking for. We'll go to the next one, Great British Pound, New Zealand Dollar. I'll have to zoom out here on this one on the daily time frame. You can see we had this super large inverse head and shoulders that had formed here. We had a break of this neckline. We had a strong impulse move to the upside. Have this corrective structure forming before possibly the next move to the upside. So then I'll zoom down, go to the 4 hour and show you what I'm seeing. So on the 4 hour time frame, we can see we have a pattern within a pattern. So we have this inverse head and shoulders that's formed on the lower time frames within a larger inverse head and shoulders reversal pattern. So patterns within patterns are something we talk a lot about in the course and how they increase the probability of setups. So there's definitely a couple different entry styles you could take here. You could take a break if you wanted to take a break of this inverse head and shoulders here. That would be fine. You could take a break out of this previous high right here to make sure market structure is changing bullish. But what I think the safest entry here would probably be a break of this larger corrective structure. So this was our impulse move. We have this corrective structure. That to me would be the safest entry. But there's a few different ones you can take here. Like I said, if you wanted to play this inverse head and shoulders and take a break above this neckline, that would be acceptable. Just know that this trend line is here, and that price could reject here and continue to move sideways. So a few different entries, but I'm definitely bullish on Great British Pound, New Zealand Dollar. As you can see, we've had this quite a big rally. I think since December of 23. We've just been kind of moving to the upside, nice inverse head and shoulders. And then this just looks to be like our corrective structure after the breakout. As you can see, higher highs and higher lows forming, continuous higher lows, and we want to be looking for the next impulse to the upside. So definitely bullish here. A few different ways you can play it, but that's kind of what I'm seeing on this pair. But I definitely like the setup going into the week. So yeah, that's that one. We'll head to the next. What do we got? Euro CAD. So this is a similar setup, at least on the higher time frame perspective. Let me zoom out here. So we do have another, like I said, pretty similar setup, honestly. So this is the daily. Have this inverse head and shoulders that's formed right here. And we had a strong rejection up at this level. I just marked this off so we could see kind of this level that was rejected. So let me go down to the 4 hour time frame, or I'll go down to the 5. So I want to be looking for some sort of higher low to be formed here. So what I mean by that is we have this higher low that's formed here that I already marked off. Excuse me, let me go back. So we have this higher low that's been formed. I want to see another higher low be put in somewhere over here, and then we get a break of this trend line to the upside. So I can show you why I wouldn't be interested in taking longs right now. I'll go down to the 1 hour time frame. So we've just been kind of forming these lower lows, lower highs on the smaller time frame. I'm on the 1 hour. You can see we've just been moving these lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. And so I would want to wait for a break of this trend line. So we could continue to move down, maybe form a double bottom, get a breakout entry here. We could, continue to move down until we get some sort of base form here and we get a breakout. So I'm being patient with this one, but I would like to see like I said right here, wait for a higher low to be put in and then wait for a break of this downtrend line. Because if we can get a breakout of that, I would be pretty bullish on this pair as we form this higher low. On the higher time frames, we have a strong inverse head and shoulders. And so I want this to form some sort of higher low in order to look for longs here. So that's that one. Pretty clear structural levels, not much to it. But like I said, looking for a break of that trend line. So next one we have Australian dollar, excuse me, Australian dollar CAD. So I posted this one on my Instagram actually, but I really like this setup. Could take a few days to play out, but we've just been kind of moving within this uptrend. forming really clear impulses and corrections. Correction, impulse. Sorry, let me grab this. Impulse, correction, impulse, and now the same thing is forming here, and we just got to let it play out a little bit. Nothing's clear right now besides this structural of impulse, correction, but this correction looks like it needs a little bit more time, and it could even move down a little further before moving to the next impulse stage. So I said this, I gave a description on kind of what I'm looking for on my Instagram, but wanted to go over this. Maybe some sort of double bottom form here, but this one looks like it needs a little bit more time to move down slash move sideways before looking for long position. So I am looking for some sort of pattern to form here, some sort of reversal pattern. So maybe it looks something like this even. There's many ways that these can take form. I just have this as an example of something I'm looking at. It could be something like this, and we get some sort of descending wedge, descending channel before we break out then. That's another way, another example of some sort of reversal pattern. It could be, an inverse head and shoulders down here. It could be a double bottom. There's many different ways to look for a reversal pattern, but nonetheless, I'm looking for one at this higher low level. I don't want to see this level be taken out. That would mean the previous higher lows taken out. That means change in market structure likely. So I'd like to see us hold somewhere in this area, and that's kind of why I marked it off with this line as forming a higher low. Then I'll be looking for some sort of reversal pattern to come in here, maybe some sort of double bottom, and then ultimately looking at a breakout entry of this descending trend line. So, like I said, a few different things I'm looking for. Price needs we need to give price a little bit more time before we take entries here, but always want to be forecasting. So when it does appear, you're not scrambling, looking at other setups. I've already forecasted this. I know what I'm looking for. I just have to let price, do its thing and play out. And so always be patient with these setups, but forecasting is really important. You don't want to just open your laptop and say, okay, what trade am I taking today? By forecasting over the weekend, you can know what you're looking for. And obviously, you move and adapt with price action, but if you know what you're looking for roughly, you have an idea of when price does do something sort of similar. You know that that's something that you were already forecasting ahead of time and that you can confidently take a trade. So like I said, not 100% sure this is going to happen. We never are, but that's what I'd be looking for to take long positions. If we continue to move to the downside, the setup will likely be invalidated. No harm, no harm, no foul. But that's what I'm looking for there. Australian dollar USD has been moving very bullish over the past couple days slash week. But here we are. We're on the daily time frame. We had a breakout of this previous daily uptrend. We had a breakout, and now what happens after a breakout? We saw this impulse, and now we're just forming this sideways corrective structure. And as we've seen right here, I'll go down to the 4-hour time frame. We have broken out of this structure, and we've broken out impulsively, which shows that the bears have taken control right here. After the sideways movement, price formed strong bearish move down, strong bearish move down, and so we didn't get a breakout entry here. So if you didn't get a breakout entry, you don't want to just simply enter shorts just because this looks bearish. You want to be patient and wait for a corrective structure to form. So I have this, goofy drawing here, but this is just the idea of what something I'd be looking for, some sort of sideways corrective move. Like I've said multiple times for other setups, after an impulse, you want to just wait for some sort of corrective structure to form. It could be a short one like this. Like I said, it doesn't have to be some long drawn out corrective structure. It could be a very short one like this. We get a simple bear flag here. We take an entry on the breakout of this structure. So this is something I'm definitely watching as USD looks to be very strong right now going into next week. But yeah, this looks like a good setup. The bearish corrective structure could form on the 1-hour time frame, so I'll be watching that. But this looks to be like a good setup going into the week for sure. Similar, almost same setup. I won't go into this too in depth. GBP USD, same setup. We had this long sideways corrective move here. I'm on the 6-hour time frame. We had a impulse right here, and we formed this bearish correction before what happened next. Strong impulse move to the downside. So what I'm waiting for, exact same thing. I'm just waiting for some sort of lower time frame corrective structure to form here until we get an entry there. This is something that I'd be looking for. And like I said, I'll keep repeating it because it's important to repeat. If price continues to move down, I'll continue to watch this setup because maybe we end up doing something like down here. Eventually there'll be some sort of corrective structure to form, very likely. I mean, obviously, we could just go straight line down, but typically, in order to get a good entry, we want to wait for some sort of correction to form. Doesn't mean it's going to happen right here where I have marked off. Like I said, it could continue to move down before forming a corrective structure, but ultimately, that's what I'm looking for, some sort of lower time frame corrective structure to form. So I'm on the 6-hour time frame. I'd probably be watching for the 4-hour or the 1-hour, but same thing. After an impulse, we're looking for corrective structure to form. This is probably one of my favorite setups going into the week. We have Euro JPY. I'll go to the daily time frame so you can see this. So we had this double top extended. I go over this pattern quite in depth in my course as well on why this type of pattern gets a lot of support and resistance traders off sides. Usually these structures are formed when you're approaching a double top level and you're moving within this some sort of channel. And so support and resistance traders might have taken this long position right here on a really strong bullish candle above this previous high and taken long positions. But and I'm not saying price can't, ultimately just reverse out of there, but this type of setup would have got a lot of people off sides most likely. So we have this double top extended, and then we have another double top within this, larger double top. So like I said, patterns within patterns increase probability of a trade. So we're moving within this channel. We have a double top form, which means bulls tried to push up and they couldn't form a new high, and instead we formed a double top. And so I'll go down here to I'll go to the 6-hour time frame so you guys can see this. So we did have a break of this structure right here. This was our previous higher low. As you can see, we were forming higher low or higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Sorry, I'm struggling with this brush tool. We have this higher high, higher low. Price failed to make a higher high right here. And instead, we pushed down and we broke this previous higher low, which means it's very likely that price could continue to move to the downside and we could be changing structure of this bullish uptrend. We could be forming a bearish downtrend. So we have a break of this structure. We also have a break of this ascending channel. You can see this ascending channel trend line. We had a break. We're starting to move back up inside, but I'm still watching this for a lower time frame corrective structure to form here. I don't have any entries within this pair right now. So what I'm looking for is something as I have diagrammed. Same thing as what I've said on the other setups, just looking for some sort of correction to form. It might not be this wide or this long. It could be much shorter, much tighter, but ultimately that's what I'm looking for. So I definitely think this could be a really good setup going into next week that possibly we could hold for quite some time as there'd be a lot of room to the downside. Like I said, definitely a good setup. There's a lot of confluence here with just basic market structure principles. I'm using higher time frames, patterns within patterns, and I'm looking at multiple things that would lead me to this bias. But this is definitely probably my favorite trade going into the week. I think this is the last one we have for the day. So Euro USD, obviously USD has been crazy over the last week, but pretty simple structure right here. We were just moving kind of within this structural level here, and we had a break of market structure here. This was our break, which also was this outer structure level here. So as we had been continuously up until this point, we had this low right here, we had this higher low technically, and price just could not move to the upside and continue this uptrend channel, and that would be what you would look like in an uptrend. But price failed to do so, and instead we had broken this previous low right here. We had broken this previous low, and we had a strong bearish impulse move to the downside. So all I'm doing is I'm forecasting same thing as I've said, forecasting a potential bearish correction. And this bearish correction could form down here, could form down here. All I'm saying is we're looking for some sort of corrective move to form. So like I said, it's very similar on a lot of setups. That's why I said I know there was a lot of trades in this or a lot of setups that I'm looking at, but a lot of these might take some time to play out. And a lot of them, instead of forming some corrections, they could just continue to move to the downside, and I'll be left behind. No worries. Plenty of other setups to look at, but ultimately, I'm just being patient going into this week. Probably Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm assuming there'll probably be some good setups to be taken. But this is definitely a good one. I put a poll on my Instagram that said, when I think we were right here, and I said, okay, what direction do you think we're going? Do you guys think we're going to move down? Or do you guys think we're going to reject and move to the upside? And actually, the majority of people said to the downside. So I guess congrats to you guys. You guys were right. But ultimately, we'd just be targeting the bottom of this, higher time frame structure, maybe even somewhere a little bit closer, just somewhere in here. Rather be safe than sorry. But this could be a really clean setup. Just looking for some sort of corrective structure to form. But that's it for the week. A lot of setups to be looking at. I'll try to be narrow in my focus during with trades, but I wanted to go over a few different setups because there is a lot of things that are looking good. So just make sure when you're going into this week that you're really being selective with your trades. Don't just be willy-nilly and taking trades left and right. Be selective. Look for the highest probability setups. When there's so many, like this week, for example, at least in my opinion, that makes me extra cautious. So I'm not jumping into 3, 4, 5 trades at a time. I want to be really selective, and I feel like in weeks like this you can be, because there's so many good setups. You can wait for a lot of things to line up in your favor, instead of just taking a low probability trade that maybe has one or two confirmations or confluences. You can really be selective and take high probability trades. So that's what I'm looking at going into the week. Wish you guys the best of luck and let me know if you guys have any questions.